So this is William and Valiant Motorsports and Konstantin of Mutter, and we're here to test out a theory about Chinese bikes, or two. And the idea is we got these identical scooters. One is red, one is blue, and we're gonna try to race them to baseline them and then show you guys what parts exactly go in the red scooter to make it go a lot faster, and what kind of process this is and how involving this is. And then, so now we're just gonna pick a furthest point in this parking lot, start from there and come towards you. Alright, let's go back and switch. Still blue does better, even on the outside. So, even as we're trying to baseline them, even from the factory, they're not the same. Even though the scooter looks faster, it's red, it's got alloy wheels. It's got all these nice things.
Maybe I opened the throttle too quickly and it was bogged.
Oh, without babies, it was like 3 tries.
Yeah.
It definitely takes, this one winds up faster. But you're a mechanic, you're gonna make this go a lot faster than that one. And that's the challenge. Let's go back to the shop now.
issue I'm encountering right now with this engine is getting the shroud off, the cooling shroud for the air-cooled engine. It's kind of being stuck because the bracket for the seat mount is like very much in the way. So luckily it's made of plastic, so it's pretty bendable, but with the studs it's getting hard, so definitely gonna have to take those studs out first. axle. Yeah, we'll see how this works. It's a new camshaft. Obviously it's drilled out, so it's a little lighter, but hopefully there'll be some difference in the cam profiling that will make it a little bit jumpier. We'll see. Maybe I'll hate it and I'll take it out. Let's see what happens. Alright, I'm going to make my secret moly paste, which is what I use to put the engine together.
Like secrets.
Some secret. I'm going to be using Lucas's assembly oil as the oil base for it. Okay, and for the grease part of it, I'm going to be using Moly 60 paste from Honda, which you can't really get anymore. And I'm gonna mix with a ratio of whatever to whatever, because even using any of this stuff is gonna make my assembly a breeze, and I'm not worried about any kind of startup issues, because this stuff is what the pros use. I'm a pro. So that's all the moly I'm gonna use for right now. Last time I used a lot of moly. It makes the oil dark very quickly. But it's amazing at lubricating stuff.
Does moly have any abrasives in it? Like the particles itself are abrasive or not?
I don't know if you really could say that. This assembly lube is very sticky. It's almost like honey, kind of. It comes out pretty thick.
High viscosity.
Then I'll just grab an acid brush. I'll usually pull at the hairs a couple times. Make sure they're good. And I'll scoop the moly onto the brush and mix it into the paste.
Nice little concoction.
And then it'll turn gray pretty quickly. And this stuff is pretty good for any kind of as any kind of assembly lube for blind joints or bearings, stuff that's pretty in there. I'll show you where I put it. I'm always changing it up. So yeah, we're going ahead with this. I'm not gonna use this yet, but that's what it is. It's my moly paste. It's pretty thick. But if it's in any parts that are inside the engine that get coated with this, well, the oil should mix with it and wash away, and eventually, it shouldn't be sticky and create sludge in the engine. It should mix with the oil well, and when you drain the oil, it should leave with the service at that point. But it's great. Okay. Type it. And the bottom one comes out too. And yeah. Look at that. Like that, guys? It's pretty cool, huh? So I'm gonna leave it down all the way at the bottom for a second, I guess. Actually, that's a mistake. I'll put it all the way at the top. That's TDC. So I'm gonna top dead center. Okay, so there's nothing holding it on anymore, except for its love to be with the rest of the engine. So, see what we can do to get it on. Yeah, it might work. I don't want to damage those fins though. There's not a ton of stuff to grip on it. I want to try to keep this engine has This engine, this cylinder kit, I'm gonna resell probably, or put into one of my own bikes because it has 3 miles on it. So that's what the top of the piston looks like in terms of combustion deposits with 3 miles of running. So you can imagine after thousands of miles what kind of buildup is going to happen throughout the entire engine, not just inside of the combustion chamber. So let's pop this off and we'll take a look and see what's inside. The actual crankshaft and all that stuff. And give it a little bit of a light tap there. Give it a little tap on the bottom. That did it. That's all it took. Alright, another thing I want to check is I want to see how the factory piston ring indexing is after 3 miles. So these piston rings, the gaps have a certain positioning inside the cylinder and on the piston. And vibration and the movement of the engine can make those gaps, the rings spin on the piston and the gaps can change positions, but they're supposed to be placed in a certain point when you build the engine from the start. So I'm interested to see if they remained in the same place, or if essentially how they are at 3 miles on this engine. So if you get the shot right here, we can see the piston is right out the bottom of the skirt of the jug. So this is the skirt of the jug. This is the piston. This is the connecting rod or con rod. And this is our case block. Inside there is the crankshaft. So I'm just going to pop this off. So now the jug is free. And the piston is hanging on the connecting rod right there. And if we look at this, I hold it up there, looks like okay, so the top ring is indexed facing me right now, and then the second compression ring right below it should be opposite. It should be somewhere on the other side, and if I look, it's right here. So they're indexed about 180 degrees from each other, which is good for the top 2 compression rings, because that will make sure that the engine makes good high compression and creates good power. And then the oil control rings are essentially the oil control ring package is made up of 3 rings, and that's essentially supposed to be indexed sort of the same sort of way. I can see that the bottom ring is facing up, so I would imagine that the other one is facing down. If I look, that's exactly what it is. So they got the top part of the control ring is right there, the gap's right there, and the bottommost ring, the bottom control ring, is the gaps right there. So the indexing is actually pretty good on this engine. I would say it's very good, which is kind of comforting to see on a Chinese engine. So that's interesting stuff. Yeah, so I'm going to do the last part of the disassembly here, which will be taking that piston off of that con rod. Shouldn't be very difficult. I'm basically going to reach in there and pull out the wrist clip that holds it in there. Take that out. Alright, so I got one side out. Now the other side we don't really need to take out. If we can just push on that wrist pin and get it out, it floats in there. So it's out the other side. Come over here, it's out the other side. I'm just gonna grab onto it. And look at that, not too much wear on it. Pretty good condition. So that's that wrist pin. We're not reusing that either, but that will go with this piston. So now that this is off, I can just put that back in there. It's pretty well oiled. I'm not even worried about oiling it because it's such a clean part. Probably sit on a shelf for a year and come out just as clean. We can take this clip, push that back in there, get a little practice installing this for later. This is probably the most difficult part of the whole fucking build. Watch we'll censor that part. So, yeah, there you go. That's a piston with a floating wrist pin stuck in the middle of it. Great, good stuff, good stuff. So here we have the engine right there. Look, you can see the connecting rod, and it's connected to the crankshaft. And at the same time, I'm gonna take this jug, since I want to reuse this. I'm gonna look at this guy right here. Which one was up and which one was down? Alright, so it says in, that's up. Even though it doesn't really matter too much at this point. So I'm just gonna take this guy, I'm gonna practice getting that piston back in there. A bit of rocking. I believe she went in clean. I believe she hasn't been too contaminated already. There you go. Alright. She's a snug fit because she's not even broken in yet. But I would definitely sell this. That's a nice little engine piece right there. Alright, so at this point we're ready to pretty much start the rebuild. The only last piece to take off is this is this gasket. But actually, yeah, we're definitely gonna get rid of that. I don't like it. It's ugly. Luckily it hasn't been cooked on there at all yet. I'm hoping it will come off in one piece. We will see. I will probably rip it like I just did. It's kind of dirty. What part am I missing? Uh-oh. Alright, so that's still on there. This is not easy to do with.
I usually take a knife and scrape it.
Yeah, we'll get that X-Acto knife and go get on that. Alright. And there was a what?
The one that was flat, remember?
Do we put I don't know if we put a carb in it though. What is this? So where the two cases meet, it's not too great of a, it's not too great. Pretty important I get this part right. Don't get too much crap in the engine. Make a good seal here, because if there's a leak here, if there's a leak in this seal, this gasket, oil will leak down here, probably onto the wheel. But any kind of leaking oil from the engine is pretty unacceptable from my builds. So. Alright, here we go with the piston. Let's take a look at this thing. Does it have any manufacturing defects like the other one? Alright, so the control rings do not have directions. You know, they got a turbo, so they're having fun. Alright, and then we have the silver one, that's the top. and it's facing upside is the... Yo, why are you like this? Why are you like this? And then over here we got another, yeah, we got another G. Word, that makes me feel better. Alright, that one's gonna go up too. Alright, let's start with, first of all, you gotta get this guy in before you put in your control rings. He's very easy to get in. You might want to do him last, but I'm experienced, so I'm just gonna put that guy. I'm not even worried about how he's indexed at all, really, because that's just the spacer for it. It's important, but it doesn't need to be indexed. So then I'm gonna grab this one. It's facing up. Yes, it is. All right. So in is this way. This is what this is how the engine's gonna look. So I want this gap to be right there. So actually I'm gonna start with this one, which is gonna be opposite side. I'm just gonna try to put it on opposite the other way. So like get it on. It'll probably go into the first groove. You just gotta take your time because you can break these very easily. So yep. And they'll go in spots and you'll be like really frustrated. You'll be like, how did it get in like that? It's in such a spot. Can't get it out. But you will. Just take your time. Alright, so now we have this top ring, right? So it's shiny. The G. Let me check. The G is facing up. Good. Alright, so the G facing up. Put that thing in there. That one's pretty basic. Boom. Check. You gotta just constantly be checking this indexing. So I got them indexed at 180. And I've got my control ring, top control ring at the bottom. So now I got this last control ring, the bottom control ring. I'm gonna put that facing up. See how that goes. So I'm getting too close to the piston skirt, and I'm also, a little part of my glove came off, so I don't want that. I'll be a lot more careful. Okay. Better to go from the top of the crown of the piston than to start from the skirts. Even though you got all these rings already in there, you'll get it on. Where's the top index? The bottom index. Ooh, it's not in the ring yet. That's why. Are you having problems? Something's up with it.
That's why it's not always easy to build those things. Some people think.
Yeah, so right now what I'm experiencing is some binding in the control ring package. Either something I did was not right. I don't think I did everything right, but Okay, I spun the ring around. Now the control ring package is better. Everything's fully seated. It's important that the rings are seated in their grooves very perfectly, you know. Try to find. Okay, so I need these guys. These are the clips. And this guy. That's the piston ring. This is the piston. This is the piston pin. Okay, so on this bike it doesn't matter. Usually you start by putting one piston clip in. So now I'm gonna use some moly paste, a little bit on this end. So yeah, I'm just gonna coat half of it. I'm not even gonna coat the whole thing because it's gonna spin around. Coat it lightly. My hand. It's okay to get that stuff on the piston though. Okay, so now let's go back over here. So this piston is so big, it doesn't fit in between the studs unless I lift it up. Yeah, put it right in between there, huh? Just like that. And it's in. So yeah, I usually will spin the clips a little, make sure they were out. Yeah, it's seated. Great. So yeah, now do this. I bought those both those washers, both those spacers are still on. I got a gasket set. Probably should have put this on before the piston. Doesn't matter. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, baby. Good. Hopefully you didn't get it too crusty. Yeah, it doesn't look dusty at all. It's gorgeous. So yeah, like I was saying, I'm gonna go with this stuff is sticky, man. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through the whole cylinder with it. Like honestly, even just that little thin coating is gonna be enough that I'm happy. Some hairs from your the spacers are in position. Alright, so it's important not to crush the rings. way in there. Come on. Alright. So I'm gonna just use, I'm not gonna use the pace here. I'm gonna just go. Takes that oil. Alright. So I'm ready to go with this. We just feed this guy up through there. Beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. It's not bad. Jam him in there. Is that how he goes? Definitely doesn't go like that. Just feels a little weird. She's moving the curve. Yeah, that's how she goes. There we go. Sorry, I was a little confused there. That's how she goes. Like that. Beautiful. Sucker. That looks like shit. See what happens if I put some molly. So I'm gonna put some molly on it. A little bit. In the spot that I think is nice. Which is this part right there. So I'll just roll it on there like that. Roll some on there like that. Maybe I'll even throw some in there. The bearings on this, it'll be okay though. They should get oil pretty quickly. Just put a little white coating around. Even though this is the race, it doesn't really even need oil. Yep, that's where I put it. Right on. Now, take this sucker. This guy, he goes right there. Now this bad boy. Now I got the headers all clean. That's how I want it. It's as good as it gets for this engine. Don't do that, folks. So just leave that off for now. Alright, so this, just put that up there, like right on there. Just like that. I'm already encountering some sort of resistance to putting this on. I'm not sure what that is. I don't love it.
It's the top, the bottom of the top chain guides.
I don't think so. It's where it's supposed to be. That's weird. Love it. I love it when it throws me curveballs, but I don't fear. So, yeah, something's up. Something's not normal. Try this one more time. It's moving on this side. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there's something a little bit weird with this one. Okay. Let me just. Boom. We're on there. I'm gonna check these both out. That guy's stuck there. The tensioner one is moving. Boom. So far, I'm not absolutely loving this aftermarket crankshaft, camshaft. So timing is very important with an engine. This is the mechanical timing of the valves that I'm working with right here. So if I screw that up, it's probably going to be a bad time, so I'm trying to make sure I get that part right. It's a little bit of adjusting, you know. There it is. Alright, it took me a while, but because like it was one tooth off, and that on this engine it probably wouldn't cause destruction. On some engines it could, but it's definitely not a good thing to do. And the engine's gonna run terribly if you don't do that. Okay, there's one more thing I gotta do for this head I forgot about, which was prepping the rocker arm carriage, because there's a different size, special size of rocker arm for this kit. I just happen to know this. So yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, those rocker arms are these guys right here. I'll show you the difference in a minute.
Is there a 64? Is this a
64? This is a 64, that's a 69. So we're going from a 64 to a 69 for this kit because that's what's required. So a lot of people could probably make that mistake if they just decided like, oh, I'm not gonna put these in there, but for this head, if you want to run it like this, you gotta do that. These are my least favorite things. Sometimes these are like, oh, okay, they'll just come right out. And then other times, it'll really be a bitch. Okay, so that's one of them. So you can see they're just a little bit, actually, yeah, they're different profiled. So I'm gonna put that over there. So I don't want to get it confused. So I usually turn this to that side. Actually, I think maybe it's supposed to be like that. Just kind of loose like that. I don't know why they don't put something on the other side that you can like get them out. So yeah, got lucky. They're not screwed in. Oh shit. Excuse my language, folks. At it. Just a little bit of Molly. Not much though. Too much it won't even go in. Can there be peace? Alright. And then there's like a little thing you gotta line up in here. Or not, yeah, it's fine. Okay, so yeah, this guy. So it says EX. EX is the exhaust.
I know this. I know this very well.
Okay, it's good. I'm happy. I will usually assembly lube some of these too. Just lightly. The threaded area. These two that are specifically outside the case. Alright, so another little trick that I do I think helps my end is just try to align them a little better. So right now gravity's pulling down on this whole assembly. There's not a ton of play in it. But I think I like get ready for a bit. Slowly sandwich that whole thing together. Okay. Cool. Alright, so now yeah, I just need the tensioner.
Yeah. Tensioner just goes right there. And if you're not such a klutz, you don't lose everything like me.
step torque these guys. See how it goes. Yeah, boom. That is a big bore kit right there.
So what torque do you want those bolts to be tight?
I'm just doing it by hand. It was in the book. I think it's like 20, 25 foot-pounds, something really, 20 foot-pounds. It's a lot. I'm just doing them until I can feel the bolt stretch because with the stud, it's really a stud. I can feel like the load on the stud, and I know how much it needs, so I'm just trying to do it as evenly as possible. I could put a wrench up there, but I'm gonna
Set the clamps.
Huh?
Set the clamps.
Yeah, I could set the valve clamps now. But it will need to be adjusted. Alright, so put the studs, I guess, on. So let's see if this new engine I made is good or not. This is a compression test. This will tell us the health of the new engine that I built, whether or not it makes more compression. And I'm going to be using Milwaukee ratchet to turn it. Let's see how I make it set that up. I'm going to the next step will be to get it in the engine. To get it in the bike.
Yep.
So, yeah. Just one more thing I gotta do. Raise it up a little bit. even this little stupid rubber gasket that supposed to make sure the air stays on the head, stays around, flows around the engine. Very important. So important. Without it, this thing will overheat and blow a counter out. That's packed, and I was like, okay. Right. So that's gotta be on. This is probably gotta be hooked up. I mean, I think, pretty sure. If I check my book, you need that. You need that to be on. This, that other one's okay. Boom. Almost done. All right, let's see. hog as much on takeoff anymore, and it goes up to 50 miles an hour now. So it's pretty fast. It's kind of scary even at those speeds. The engine sounds really good. I think the build went well. But yeah, it can climb up hills much more easily now, and there's a ton more power at all speeds. So it's awesome.